We are getting through intermittent fasting. We are going to tackle on that mental barrier and physical barrier and ensuring that we have a successful intermittent fasting experience. So, we are going to go ahead and dive into our steps. Okay, but first we have to understand why intermittent fasting. And I I think there's like this big misconception of what it is and how to utilize it. I think for the most part people think with like intermittent fasting it is to skip a meal and just to like consume as much as you can during your eating window. But in all reality, if you do it with intentionality and if you do it with the right mindset and equipment, and if you are planning, you will ensure that you get the most benefit of intermittent fasting. And we are going to just ensure that if you are intermittent fasting in the morning, this is a video for you because I tend to eat later in the like my last meal tends to be towards the dinner, towards late. I typically like to have my dinner kind of closer to a late time, so like 7, 8. And so typically I will intermittent fast in the morning really hard this week. I did a little bit of research and just to ensure to just mentally prepare myself as well as like I need something to get me through those mornings where my eating window gets pushed to like 11 or 12. And so I think one of the things that is essential to any journey is one, ensuring that you're talking to your doctor. I am not a doctor, I'm not your medical practitioner, but I'm also not like a registered dietitian. I am just a fitness person. I love this stuff and I not only do it for me, but I also hope that this helps you in some way. So the goal of intermittent fasting is to reduce the time and to let your digestive system activate, which then allows for a period of ensuring that you have increased fat burning. So your body switches from burning glycogen, which is like carbs, to burning fat for fuel. And that's the intention behind, which is one of the reasons to try intermittent fasting. One of the things that I thought was interesting in while doing the research of intermittent fasting is this idea of support cellular repair. So essentially cleaning the damaged cells, which is really interesting and I would love to like learn more about. I'm not sure exactly how, but it's essentially it triggers that when you are fasting. So those are just like a couple of things to keep in mind of why it might be a good idea to try intermittent fasting. Now we're going to go ahead and go into the tips of how to help you through a morning fast. So the first one, which is key, is to drink plenty of fluids. Another thing to drink is caffeine. So whether it be through coffee or whether it be through tea. And I also saw in the article that I read that I will link that people tend to also add a pinch of salt to their water and also some lime, and they're essentially to just curb that appetite and keep you well and hydrated. I'm just gonna have water and a tea with. This is a key though that I've in the past have lacked is like I don't know about you, but I love my coffee with like creamer and sugar, and so that's definitely sugar definitely will spike insulin, and even having what I've read too is even adding some Splenda or like some artificial sugar is also unhealthy because it spikes your insulins and makes your body kind of react to the fake sugar. So, no sugar in the morning, ensuring that you're only having coffee with nothing or tea and water. So, the next thing that definitely helps in ensuring that you have a really, really good fat when you're in fasting. Like another thing is to distract your mind. Now, this is like really hard, especially if you're like at home. I will say it becomes even at work too, like if you have nothing to do in the morning, or if it's like a slow morning depending on your work, and your mind is racing to like, okay, this time I'm really hungry. It's like finding ways or finding projects to distract yourself, like indulge yourself in like an activity, whether it be a work or whether you really have to distract your mind, whether it be work, whether it be a project, whether it be a conversation, whether it be, I don't know, a game. Like if you're at home, especially during the weekends where you're like, okay, I am hungry and I have nothing to do but eat, but like you can't eat right now. So having something to distract yourself is going to be super helpful in ensuring that you like take your mind off of eating. Another thing that I've realized over the week that has really helped me is like incorporating some sort of mantra or mindfulness practice in the morning, especially if you, like I said, can't find ways to distract yourself, then just like remind yourself why you're fasting, and a mantra of like, okay, I'm choosing this for like long-term benefits, and I'm choosing this to like a bigger goal, and it's like ideal. Like I did a video about longevity, and one of the things that they recommend in the Outlive book that I read is ensuring that you are, one of the things is that like your time restriction is like key in ensuring that you, and the like ensuring that you're like giving yourself some structure in the times that you eat is will help you stay nice and acute, and just have more energy and more better health, and just like overall just like better discipline, and ensuring that you know that this is for your well-being and you are capable of doing very strong things and very hard things is actually such a good like reminder, especially as you're going through that fasting time. You're like giving yourself affirmations and like just positive reminders that you will get through this, and once you do practice that, it does get a little easier and you will see what works and what doesn't work. So just having a nice mantra, having a nice like little phrase, a little reminder can really go a long way. And I got two more tips for intermittent fasting, or how to make the most out of your intermittent fasting window, is to start slow. So most people do a 12 to 14-hour fast, but if you feel like you're not there yet, definitely shorter fast, like an 8 or a 10, and just like slightly increase the amount of time that you fast is going to be more efficient and more easier, and you will realize that you, once you master like a certain amount of hours, you will then increase, or you're like, okay, well, I was able to do a 10-hour fast, let me add another hour. And so having that time is really really key. I also found that if you have an app, and which I will take a picture and put it up here, but if you use the app, you can like at night start your fast, and that just kind of triggers you to like mentally prepare, like, okay, once I hit this button, I am going to start fasting, and I am going to stick to ensure that I don't break, because it does provide like a little circle of like your fasting window, and that will definitely like, I mean, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. If you just want to start with just like trying it out without a tracker is okay, but if you do like to see that visual, that app is like free. You literally can adjust it as you can, and it really does or will help you trying to figure out also what is the best fasting protocol for you. And the last thing that I will talk about in this video is make sure that your first meal is nutritiously valuable. So, again, we're trying to ensure that we're making the most out of our fast, and breaking it with like a hamburger or like something that may be more caloric, that might not have as much caloric value, is going to maybe not be the best way to break your fast. So ensuring that you have a good amount of protein, you have a good amount of vegetables, you get a fiber is also really good. So ensuring that you're planning your fast and you know that the meals that you're about to consume first is going to ensure that you're again, protein is a source where you can retain those muscles that you have. Essentially, protein equals retention of muscles. And so ensuring that you are planning your first meal correctly will ensure that you are not overindulging the first meal that you have. So, okay, lastly, which I feel like every time I make a video and I'm like, 5 things to do this, and then I'm like, oh, but really, there's like more. Okay, this is the last thing. The last thing is to ensure, okay, so even if you get through fast and when you are in a fast and you feel like you can't get through it, definitely give yourself grace to enjoy something if you can really not make it to the end of your fast, and that's okay. Like if you are at the end and you can't really make it, ensuring that you have something as a backup to eat, whether it be like a protein bar, whether it be like something, again, some nuts, something to keep you healthy and still keep you in the path of like finishing strong, will definitely help you stabilize those blood sugars that cause a crash later. So ensuring that you're like being intentional too about like, okay, if I can't get to my fast, I have a backup plan and I can eat this trail mix or this protein bar and still feel accomplished. But having something is really, really key. Like, you don't want to be in a place where you're like, okay, I can't make it to my fast. I'm really hungry. So I'm going to go down the street to Starbucks and grab something. Like, that's not what we want to do. So plan ahead, plan a backup. And I hope we can get through these fasting days smoothly. I will catch you later. I will see you in the next video.